Alright, I don't even know if these are considered hard to swallow pills, but I'm rolling with the title. Fuck the intro, I'm very tired and don't know how I'm gonna deal with it. I hope you like my new TTV by the way, his name is Matthew and he sounds far superior than the other one. Anyway, let's go and PLS enjoy, thank you. There are some groups that do have unfair line distribution, but most of the time, there is a reason. You can't sit there and say that it's unfair because your favorite hasn't got lines. Let's look at my bias in Stray Kids. I wasn't happy with the singular part that Woojin got in Miro, but he had better lines through other parts of the album. Unless, there are actual reasons to believe there is unfair line distribution, looking at USM with Win-Win, stop jumping to conclusion that it's a bad thing. I hope that this one actually made sense because I've been reading this so fucking long and it seems to make sense to me. You do realize that not every group gets the chance to make their own music, yes? I'm gonna use Blackpink for example, and before you say, I don't stan, but they do not have the creative freedom to write or produce their own stuff. That's just YG for you, and it's ridiculous that people can't seem to grasp that concept and instead ridicule them for absolutely nothing. My favorite group doesn't produce their own music. Am I disappointed over that? Absolutely not. You're not a bad person for being disappointed over it, but I say this with my whole ass heart as a majority boy group stan, of course they're going to be looked at in a better way. Girl groups are kept in the basement, a lot of the time overworked way more. I don't know how to word it, but it's almost like Korea being a sexist country isn't looked at. There are so many more issues that lie with this whole subject and I might do another video on it when I can have the chance to do a bit more research on it. Streaming especially. Views aren't that important that you should be making yourself ill or exhausted over. For example, someone on my Twitter ended up putting herself in hospital for dehydration while streaming. How stupid can you get? Stream when you can. Because I'm sure your favorites would rather have their fans okay and healthy instead of making themselves sick to try and help them out. Same goes for voting. Threatening people and sending death threats is only going to make you look more of an idiot. No one is saying don't stream or vote. Just don't put your health at risk to do something so fucking small. Hear me out, as an EXO and NCTzen, I'm irritated with it. EXO haven't had good promotions, Kai deserves a solo at this point, Baekhyun should be focusing on his extremely successful solo career, and Taeyong and Mark have been so overworked that they don't deserve to be even more worked just for some extra money. But we know that some of these idols take the time to read internet comments and imagine how irritated or sad they might be to hear that something they might have been working on for a while would be hated. It's dumb. Because it is. Of course, groups that belong to bigger companies are going to be promoted better. They're going to get better treatment and win more things. It's not a bad thing to acknowledge. They worked very hard to get where they are, just like every other idol has done. But for Christ's sake, of course they're going to take off in popularity when the big three are looked at on such a high pedestal. Smaller company stans have to fight for a lot more than what big three groups do, and people claiming that big three groups have to work just as hard is stupid. They have plenty of things to help them out, and yes, while they do work hard, the company's money, the name, etc., it all helps out in the end. Korea has always had an issue with colorism. They much prefer pale skin and will always shun those with darker skin. Let's look at Alex from Rania. She was only used as a publicity stunt. That is what a lot of Koreans see of color, as something they can use to get more clout and seem inclusive. Then we have Lana, who is being treated amazingly by K-Nets with a lackluster debut. I'm really sick and tired of seeing people say it doesn't exist, and it's just the person not being good. Yes, there is handfuls of people who aren't talented and haven't lasted, and that's it. J-pop has it right. It's more diverse and nice to see. Not to mention, fuck the parts of fandoms that refuse to acknowledge this stuff. You are just as bad, to be honest.